Amarjeet Singh Dulat, former RAW chief, joins me on this India First special broadcast. Sir, many thanks for joining me. What do you make of this controversy over that one paragraph on page number 208 of your book? Because, you know, Mr. M.K. Narayanan, the former National Security Advisor, he has spoken of your very fond attachment. He's spoken of your emotional attachment, not just to Kashmir, but also to Dr. Farooq Abdullah. And you've also mentioned the close association and relationship you've had. What do you make of Dr. Farooq Abdullah being so upset today when you recall that conversation of 2020?
You know, what can I say? I don't think Dr. Saab has read the book. You see, Mr. Narayanan has read the book. Mr. Narayanan knows what Kashmir is all about. He knows what Farooq is all about. And that is why he's written what he's written. You read the foreword?
Yes.
Yeah, it's very complimentary to Dr. Saab. Then what is the problem? You read the whole book from start to finish. It's only in praise of Dr. Farooq. So what's the problem?
Okay. So, the politics of the problem, if I may, I want to quote you. You wrote, and I quote, Farooq was terribly hurt. Just as the BJP has never hidden its intention towards Kashmir as far as 370 was concerned, so too had Farooq been extremely open about his willingness to work with Delhi. Maybe, he said, you've quoted him saying, maybe, he said, National Conference could even have had the proposal passed in the Assembly. We could have helped. He told me when I met him in 2020, why were we not taken in confidence? Sir, was Farooq Abdullah willing to take Article 370 through the Jammu and Kashmir Assembly? Is that what he told you?
I don't think Dr. Saab has read the book. You know, what am I to say about the book? You know, it is written, I would say, you know, Narayanan Saab talks about my emotional attachment.
Yes.
This book has been written in that attachment, with that attachment. Believe you me. It's written with a lot of intensity, with a lot of passion. Read it. And if you say I'm lying, then I'm a liar.
Okay. That is what both Farooq Abdullah and you just heard, you know, Umar Abdullah, Chief Minister Jammu and Kashmir, you know, what he said, that you've been economical with the truth, or words to that effect. Sach ka saath nahi dete, pehli kitab mein bhi aur abhi bhi nahi. But Farooq Abdullah has also been quoted saying that your recollection is unfortunate. He says no friend of mine could have written this, and this would seem to indicate that the fallout has really upset him, sir. What you've written has upset him.
There is no follow-up. Dr. Saab, as I say, has not read the book. You know, let me remind you, I don't have the book with me, but I don't forget that easily. You know how this book ends?
Yes.
Have you read the end? Have you read the
Greatness
end?
will remain. Yes, sir, that he's no ordinary leader of Kashmir.
I think it's the second last para that we all have to go.
Yes.
Okay? Are you listening to me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
We all have to go. And in course of time, memory also fades. What remains is greatness. And Farooq will never be forgotten.
Yes.
Is this criticism of the man? And the last sentence of the book is
Singer of Kashmir. Yes.
that the song of Kashmir, Delhi will always need Farooq. Because the song of Kashmir will not be complete without the singer. Is this criticism of the man? Am I letting him down? Am I saying anything wrong?
Yeah. No, so yeah, you've praised him throughout. There is no doubt about that. But you've also, in one of the paragraphs, you've called him a contradiction. You write, and if I may quote, Farooq is a contradiction in himself. To my mind, this remark in 2020 just highlighted his great practicality under the most appalling political and popular pressure. Sir, you are paying him a compliment, but what do you make of the backlash that he's facing in Kashmir today? The opposition in Kashmir is targeting him for being too close to Delhi before abrogation of Article 370, or perhaps, words to that effect, sir.
This is all politics. And it's very unfortunate. I think my publishers made a mistake letting out this book before the launch, Because somebody picked up some... If you've read that para on page 208, there's nothing in it.
Yes.
What does it say? What am I... I'll remind you again. I know the para.
Yes.
Because I know the book. I've written the book. It hasn't been written by somebody else. I've written the book. And that para says that when I met Farooq on the 12th of February 2020, he was a broken man. He was heartbroken. He couldn't believe that India and Delhi, that he's always stood by, had locked him up. He couldn't believe it. And along with him, I was also very depressed to see him in that condition. And then he said, maybe I should have left the book at that. But then he said, I don't know why this has happened to us. Do you know, not only he was locked up, Umar was locked up.
Yes.
And Safiya and Farooq's sister, Suraya, were also taken to the lockup. So the family had to suffer quite a lot. So in those circumstances, Farooq said to me that why did this have to happen? And if it had to happen, which the sentence conveys, that this has always been the BJP's agenda.
Yes.
Then why could we not have been taken into confidence?
Into confidence. Sir, since you mentioned, Safiya and your conversation with his daughter, she's also extremely upset with what you've written, and she's taken to social media platform to express her unhappiness. With your permission, I want to quote what she wrote. She said, he was, referring to you, he was always a spy whose loyalty was only to himself. He never cared who he threw under the bus with his previous books. I've read this book, and he's played fast and loose with the truth once again, sir.
That is Safiya saying it, so I accept
Yes,
it. I accept it. Safiya is like my daughter. My daughter and Safiya were in school together.
Yes, Sanar.
Sana, yeah. They may not be friends, but for me, Safiya is like my daughter. So if she said it, fine, okay. So be it. It is for her to think about these things. What have I said about Safiya in the book? You know what happened? I don't know whether it's in the book or not. What happened was...
You met her.
That Dr. Saab was so heartbroken, he was not in a mood to talk. And I spent 2 hours with him that day. And at the end I said, sir, if you are, can I speak to Safiya? And I spoke to Safiya for half an hour. And that also was very depressing.
The outcome of that conversation that you had over 2 hours with Dr. Farooq Abdullah, what you've mentioned in your book, while you've been very appreciative about Dr. Abdullah, calling him one of the tallest leaders of not just Kashmir but the country, there's one reference where you've said like Charles de Gaulle, and how Delhi, or was that Mr. M.K. Narayanan who wrote that he ensured that Kashmir did not drift away. But the fallout that he's had, you've mentioned that he's played a very critical role in Jammu and Kashmir, but the impact of this book, has it been just the opposite for him, sir?
Not at all, not at all. It's never hurt him. He's a big man. These things don't hurt him. These things don't hurt him. And tomorrow or day after, when he sits and thinks about these things, he will understand. He'll realize. If he has time to read the book, then he'll understand it better. You know something very funny, I'll tell you, Gaurav. I don't know whether it's Safia or somebody. Somebody has objected to my reference to 1996, you know, when Dr. Saab came back as Chief Minister.
Yes.
It was a huge occasion. And it was a huge occasion for Delhi. And personally for me, it was a huge occasion. He said, you have to come for my swearing in. Not only I went, I took the DIB along, and I took this current NSA, Ajit Doval, my friend, also along. And three of us stood and gave Dr. Farooq a standing ovation when he was sworn in.
Sworn in.
No, the funny thing here is, Gaurav, that somebody is saying and talking about 1996 that I'm trying to talk rubbish. But the same thing I mentioned in my first book.
In your first book, yes.
There was no objection to it then. Because Safia didn't read that book.
Sir, both the Chief Minister and the spy have invested in this relationship for decades. You've at times, in fact, in the past been criticized for being too close to Dr. Farooq Abdullah. But when you look at this fallout, is that a thing of the past? Dosti mein darar, as some would argue, or will there be a distance between the two of you now?
Not from my side. And you'll never hear me say a bad word about Dr. Saab. Never. It won't happen in this lifetime. He can say what he likes. And his Safia can say what she likes. And if Umar Saab wants to say what he wants to say, they can say what they like.
Okay. And when you look at the current situation in Jammu and Kashmir and you compare it, not just to what happened in 1990, but over the years when Farooq Saab came back, was sworn in as Chief Minister in 1996, or through the years when you were in Intelligence Bureau, then when you were with RAW, or when you were in Vajpayee ji's PMO, you've seen Kashmir over decades and really closely. You've been, you're an expert on Kashmir. What do you make of the situation now, and how does one consolidate further beyond Article 370? How does one consolidate the situation?
Look, Kashmir has had its ups and downs, And even today, it's not very settled, if you ask me. Because what Kashmir desperately needs, or what Umar Abdullah desperately needs, is statehood. And Delhi will extract its pound of flesh before they concede statehood.
Okay. There is some conversation, some in the opposition in Kashmir, and there are some voices that still advocate a conversation with Pakistan. But you may have heard what General Asim Munir said. I mean, he was once again peddling the two-nation theory. How can we talk to Pakistan, or how can we expect peace with Pakistan when all Pakistan does is either spread terror or fuel unrest in our country, sir?
I didn't hear it, but I heard about it. And the Asif Munirs will keep saying this unless we talk to Pakistan, unless we engage with Pakistan. And there's no reason not to talk to Pakistan, in my view. Like he says that we are two people. Let me contradict him and say that we are one people. If South Asia is to move forward, then we must understand that we are one people.
Sir, we may consider ourselves one people, but they don't. हम दोस्ती चाहते हैं, वो दुश्मनी चाहते हैं. They want to bleed us, they want to split us, they want to hurt us. And each time dosti is tried, they've stabbed us in the back, whether it was Kargil after Lahore, and you know that entire process so well, or it was, Prime Minister Narendra Modi going to Pakistan in 2015 and then again them stabbing us in the back?
आप देखो तो सही, कोशिश तो करो।
कितनी बार?
दोस्ती का हाथ अटल जी ने बढ़ाया था कि नहीं? और उनके बात सुनिए। कारगिल हुआ, फिर पार्लियामेंट पर अटैक हुआ। In spite of that, Atal ji went to Islamabad for the SAARC summit.
SAARC summit.
How come? Why come? Tell me. He went because of his confidence and because of his belief that I heard over a period of 5.5 years that I worked with him, that this permanent confrontation with Pakistan has to end. और बताएं।
नहीं, आप बिल्कुल सही कह रहे हैं सर, बट देन इट टेक्स टू टू टैंगो एंड पाकिस्तान क्लियरली हैज बीन एक्सट्रीमली हॉस्टाइल, एज यू नो बेटर। और अब तो पाकिस्तान के साथ बांग्लादेश भी, बट देन वी लीव दैट फॉर अनदर डे। फॉर ज्वाइनिंग मी हियर ऑन इंडिया फर्स्ट, मिस्टर दुलत, एज ऑलवेज, मेनी थैंक्स।